Welcome to the Chief Architect Kitchen Demonstration. My name is Emily and I will be presenting a kitchen design for you today. We also have Kayla with us, so if you have any questions throughout today's webinar, feel free to chat those in and she'll be answering all of your questions today. So before we get going with our design, let's go over the GoToMeeting control panel a little bit here. So first we have the audio setup. So the standard is use mic and speakers. Since we have a lot of people in the class today, I have everybody muted so there's no feedback. So you'll just need your speakers today. And if you're not able to hear me correctly, of course, double check your volume and controls on your computer or select this audio setup and that will help adjust the levels through GoToMeeting. If that's simply not working, select that use telephone and a new phone number, code, and PIN will appear for you. If you don't see this larger area, it will minimize to a little toolbar here. It goes up to the right-hand corner of your monitor. Just select the arrow tool to restore this larger area. For the questions, just type those questions right in the bottom box here. Select send, and Kayla will be responding to all of your questions today. So we're going to be focusing on a kitchen. Of course, all of the tools I use today can be applied to your bathroom, custom closets, other interior spaces as well. So we're going to go over the program a little bit, show you how everything's laid out, and then we'll draw out just one room. So I'll be working with our wall tools and dimensioning. Then we'll drop in a doorway and some windows. We're going to be focusing in on the cabinet layout, doing custom cabinets, changing materials, placing appliances, and so forth. And we'll do a little custom island area as well. We'll cover our lighting tools, the electrical options, and talk about layers a little bit and how they're useful for your designs. And at the end, we'll go over the materials list, how that's generated, and get into a plan set. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to chat those in. So I am using Chief Architect Premier. That's the top of the line. All of the tools I use today will be applicable in our Chief Architect Interiors as well. So across the top, we'll have our default toolbar. We have our arrow tool, select objects, so that's pretty standard in all programs. And then we're going to start out with our straight wall tool. We also have a curved wall option. So with the toolbar, I'm using our parent-child toolbar set. So once I select that parent tool, over on the right-hand side, I'll have all of the different straight wall tools. So we have the exterior. I'm just going to start working here. So let's get into our grid. Just bring your cursor down, click, and drag. And as you drag that out, you'll notice you'll receive temporary dimensions. And I'm working in inches today. So I'm just going to drag this out. You can also single click on that wall and a temporary dimension will appear. Let's click on that temporary dimension and type in, let's do 312 inches. Hit enter for that to update for us. So I'm just going to focus on one room. However, this space is connected to another living area. So I'm going to just use our invisible wall. This helps us define our living area without actually building a wall. And I'll finish the space off with our interior wall. So just click and drag that up. And now we have our living area, and that's been labeled at the bottom here, giving us our square footage. So let's get into a 3D view. Our perspective camera tool enables us to see all of the textures and materials. We have our full camera, which I'll be using a little bit later. We have the full overview, which includes the ceiling that's automatically generated. But I'll be using our floor overview. So that cuts off our ceiling, shows us our floor that we have here. That exterior wall has our siding. Once we define that living area just by connecting all of the walls, then the flooring is automatically placed in there, the molding, and so forth. And then, of course, our interior wall has drywall on both sides. So pretty easy there. I'm going to just scroll in a little bit. Using the scroll wheel on your mouse, you can zoom in and out. You can also hold that down to pan in your plan. So some shortcut tools there for you. And in our toolbar, we still have our kind of standard tools. So let's get into our window tool. With the window, we have our standard window, the bay window, a box window, bow window, or a pass-through tool. I'm just going to use our standard window. Bring your cursor right onto the wall. You'll see an outline so you have an idea of where that's positioned. Single click, and that will cut the wall, do all of the construction for you, and place that into your design. And with Chief Architect, they're object-based items, so I'm going to single click on the window. You'll notice that we have different editing tools, so we can expand that out, we can move it on the wall as well, or we can go down to our editing toolbar. So that's at the bottom down here, so that gives us different editing capabilities over that object. I'm going to select the Open Object. So that will bring up my window specification. Across the top we have many different tabs, so you can customize this in depth. We do have different window types. Let's get into our single casement. I'm going to change our width. Let's do that to 36. And let's change our height to 40. We're going to be placing cabinets under here, so I want to also bring that up just a little bit. We'll do 84 inches. And then of course we can change that swing side if we wanted to. And let's get into our lights tab and add a few lights. We can get into normal or diamond, prairie, or craftsman. And let's get into one more area here. Underneath our tabs, we do have different views, so we can click on the interior to see the interior preview. And I'm just going to uncheck interior sill. Alright, so that looks good. I'm going to select OK, and that will be updated in our plan for us. Now let's go around to the other side here and put a doorway in. So with our door tool, we have just a standard hinge door. We have the doorway option, sliding door, pocket door, bifold, and garage door. So these are kind of just standard templates that you can use. We do have additional options right in our library for additional entryways and that type of thing. So I'm just going to resize that. And let's get back into our plan view. I'm going to close out of our 3D view and just get right back in here. And let's finalize our dimensioning. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm working in inches right now. You can change that. So just double click on your dimension tool, this little ruler up here. That will bring up your defaults. So whatever you specify for your defaults will be consistent throughout the rest of the plan. We can change that primary format from inches to feet and inches. You can also do metric. You can also add a secondary format if you wanted to have two different formats show up there. In our dimensioning tools, we have a lot of different options. So you do have control over all of the different angles, interior dimensions, center line, and we do have a tape measure tool, another kind of temporary option, so that's pretty efficient for you. And then we have these automatic dimensions. So we can do the auto exterior. We can also do auto interior. So with one click, all of the dimensions will pop up for us, all of the openings, and locate to the interiors. So I'm going to use these dimensions. I'm going to select on our interior wall, and I'm going to single click on that perpendicular dimension. Once that dialog pops up, I'm going to do, let's see, 193 inches for the space of our room here. Hit enter, and that will move our wall. And then also, let's adjust our openings. So for this opening, I want that to be 30 inches. So just type those in, hit enter. So for our window, I'll select this dimension. We're going to do 78 and 3/8. So you can get into all of your fractions and accuracy there as well. Alright, so we have our room all dimensioned. So I'm going to delete these dimension lines. Of course, you can single click on each one and just hit backspace on your keyboard. or we can delete them through our delete objects. So that's just kind of a quick way to get those changed. All right, let's get into another 3D view and start working with our cabinets. This time I'll be using our full camera. So with the full camera, it's like we're standing in the room. I'm going to click and just drag to my focus, and that will bring us up into the room. Let's get back into our toolbar here and select our cabinet tools. So we have our base cabinet, wall cabinet, a full height option, soffit, shelf partition, your custom countertop, and you can also do custom sink cutouts as well. So let's start out with our base cabinet and just drop it right underneath our window. So with our base cabinet, we have some different materials, different drawer styles, hardware, and so forth. So these are all set up in your defaults. So I'm going to open up this cabinet and make some changes. So we can change that from a standard to corner, we can do bow front and so forth right through that drop down. I'm going to just change the front kind of option. So let's get into our front tab and make this a frameless and inset. So all of your box construction you can change right in here. And then under the door and drawer tab, we can change the different styles. So pretty easy, we have some different kind of standards, the slab door, the frame door, or we can get into our library. So this is just going to bring up our entire library that applies to our cabinets. We have our core catalogs. Those are all of the generic library items that we create and include with the program. We have bonus catalogs that we come out with periodically. Those are additional generic items that we create. And then we have manufacturer catalogs. So through the different manufacturers, you can find all the different options right in here. And I'm going to get into Craftmade. And let's get into this guy. So we're working on our doors first, so we'll select the door option. And let's change our handle. Again, I'll just get right into our library. This time I'll be in our core catalog. And get into our pulls. And let's see, we have quite a few different options. We'll just select that guy. Oh, it's kind of long. Let's go back in there. I want to do the short one. And in our preview, you can see how everything's coming along. I want to bring that down a little bit. So we have that control right in here. Let's change that to 3. There we go, that's positioned properly. Now let's finalize our drawer option. So we'll get back into our library and find that Craftmade option again. And at the end of today's presentation, I'll show you where you can find all of the different manufacturers. So you can see the different manufacturers that you use and so forth. We're always trying to enhance our library. So contact us if you don't see the manufacturer that you're using. We always need to expand that. Alright, so we'll just get back into our pulls here and be consistent. Okay, so these are all of the adjustments I'd like to make on our cabinet. So once we select OK, everything will be updated in our plan. If this is the type of cabinet you want to use throughout the rest of your design, you want to make sure that you make it a default. So we have a quick little default option in our editing toolbar at the bottom. So once you make that adjustment, just set it as the default. And now when we go back up to our base cabinet, that will be the standard cabinet that we're going to be using. So pretty efficient to get into your default options there. Of course, you can get those set up beforehand just through your default settings and control all of the different options before you get started. So I'm going to open up our base cabinet here, and I'm going to change this to 42 inches. We'll have this our sink base. And now I'm going to single click on our drawer. Since that's pretty wide, I'm just going to get right into my item type, and we can change that to a false double drawer. We can also single click on the doors and get into our specify shelves. I'm going to change that down to 0 so we have room for all of our plumbing. And now we have our adjustments made. And let's center that right over our window. While that's still selected, we have a Center Object tool down in our editing toolbar. With a single click on that, we can bring our cursor onto our window, single click, and now we have that accuracy. And we'll just bump up that other cabinet, and you know what, let's make that 27 so you can use your editing handles right in your 3D view as well. And I'm going to change this to have just drawers. So we'll change that to a drawer, and then we'll just change that height to 9, and we'll finish off with a large drawer. Alright, well, let's keep working here. I'm just going to drop in another cabinet, and let's just drag that out to 33. So once you get so wide, it will automatically readjust your doors and do the double door for you. And if you put your cursor right into the corner, it will recognize that you probably need a corner cabinet, and it will change that outline for you so you can just drop that right in. We can also open up that corner cabinet and make some modifications. So again, if I just single click on our preview, it will automatically take us to that front tab. And in the bottom here, we have our corner options. I can uncheck diagonal door for the pie cut, and let's add a Lazy Susan. Now I'm going to get into two different views. Under Window, we can tile vertically. You'll also notice little shortcuts, so you do have different controls. You can also create your own shortcuts. You can also create your own toolbars. So you can really set up your own workspace to match whatever you need to. So in our plan view, I'm going to just drop in another cabinet here, and it will automatically resize to fit into our space. It will also change in increments of 3 inches to stick with your standards. Of course, you can change that if you need to. Alright, so now I'm just going to copy and paste some of our existing cabinets. So first of all, I want to select my sink base and then our 27-inch cabinet. So I'm going to copy those. Since I've already modified those, it's pretty easy. We can just copy and paste. And I'm just going to rotate those around, bump them back to the wall and over to our cabinets. So we'll put a cooktop in our 42-inch cabinet on this side. We can also single click and in our editing toolbar hit that copy and paste tool, and we have a reflect about object. So with the single click on that, it's kind of like our center object, how it works. Then bring your cursor right over to the 42-inch, single click again, and it just reflects onto the other side. So if you're working in a plan where you need to copy and paste a duplicate, that's very easy to do. Alright, in our 3D view, I'm just going to rotate around here a little bit and get into our full height cabinets. So for the full height, we're just going to drop that in, and let's resize that to 33 inches. And you can see with our temporary dimension, we have a 28-inch gap. So I'm going to put in another full height. Let's open this up and change that width to a 27. Stick with our standards here. So that leaves us with an inch left. So we have these filler tools right underneath Build. We can go down to our cabinet filler, select our full height, and I'm just going to bring a filler right in there. So very easy to get those as you need to. Alright, let's get into our 3D view completely here. Just going to maximize this. Let's start working with our appliances. I'm going to get into our library. Under library, we can select Browse, the Browse option. So underneath our library browser, we can find all of the different library items that we have. We also have a user catalog. This is your own custom library, so you can copy items from the core, bonus, or manufacturer catalogs and create your own folders, or anything that you import you can also find right in here. Alright, so let's get into our wall oven. So in our preview, we do have an image that it's already in a cabinet. So that's pretty easy. We can just bring our cursor right onto a cabinet, single click, and drop that in. We can also open up our cabinet and add additional appliances. So let's get into the bottom here, change that to an appliance, and get into the library to choose our appliance. I'm going to get right into our core catalog. Under architectural, you'll find the appliances, and under wall oven, I have a warming drawer. And there we are. Alright, so let's do a cooktop. Just click right onto our cabinet again, drop that in. And now let's get into our hood. And I want to make sure that's centered, so I'll select it, click on my Center Object tool, click on my range, and let's just bring up our ventilation. Now we'll drop in a dishwasher, so one click will integrate that. So now let's get into our sink options. I just wanted to show you through the core library where you can find all of your sink controls. So right under architectural, we'll have our fixtures folder. Get into our sinks, kitchen sinks. We have some different undermount options. They already have your faucet connected. You can also get into a folder without faucets. So let's get into that. Drop in our sink, and now let's find a faucet. And I like single control. So once you select that folder, you'll get a preview of all of the different options, and we'll go with that one. It's kind of large, so let's resize it. I'm just going to drag it down a bit. Alright, so we have our appliances in here. We need some more wall cabinets. So I'm going to get right into my wall cabinet tool, and again, just bring your cursor into that corner, single click for our corner cabinet, and I'm going to change that to a pie cut as well. And I'm going to resize this guy down to 12, and just drop in a few more here. We'll resize this down to 15, and let's get into our other view. Just going to use my shortcut, Shift F6, and work in our plan view a little bit here so we don't have to rotate so much. And we'll just drop in another guy, drag him out, and drop in one more. Alright, so now that we have all of our items placed in there, I want to add some more lighting. So we have a nice light source from this window, but I would like to add 2 more windows to our wall over here. So in our plan view, I'm going to get into our window tool and just use that standard window again. Of course, I could copy the window I already have, but I wanted to show you one area here that's pretty nice. When you already have your cabinets in place, it will automatically resize to change that to the top of your backsplash. So with Chief Architect, it has the different knowledge integrated into it, so you don't have to do multiple steps. Let's change that width to 18 inches. And I want that to be 40. We're just going to match it up with our other window as well. So we'll do 84 on that. We'll change that just to a fixed glass option. And then under our sill. I'm just going to remove that sill. And let's just add some lights in here. I'll put one more. Okay. So now let's center that over our cabinet. So Center Object tool. And now let's reflect that onto the other side. So just do that copy, reflect about, and now we have that accurate move on the other side as well. So very easy to work with, copying, pasting all of those items. So I'm going to maximize our 3D view here, and let's talk about materials a little bit. So underneath our library, we have many different materials that you can choose from flooring to finishes and so forth. So I'm going to get into some different materials. Let me get into my library here. I've already found some different items just from our core catalog. Let's start with our flooring. With the flooring option, we just bring our cursor right onto our plan, and you'll see it looks like a spray can. So that means that material has been selected, and we can spray paint that right on. We can also change that material with our Adjust Material Definition. So select that tool, and now it will look like a little rainbow. Click on the floor. That brings up our Define Material options. So we can change the general components. Under the pattern, I want to change the plank direction. So we need to change the pattern as well as the texture for our camera views. The pattern is the orthographic view, and the texture is the perspective view that we're in right now. So I'm going to change that to 90. Hit Tab in your dialog boxes to update. That will just update all of your previews. You can also change the scaling. You can blend the color. So if you want this a bit darker, let's single click on the Blend Material Color with Texture and single click on our color there. So pretty easy. We can get into our material eyedropper. We can drag that off onto an area on the plan, or you can also drag that onto any other website. So if you have a material you found on the website, you can just drag that off to match it. Pretty easy there. Or you can just use our scaling and just drag this down to make it a bit darker. Alright, so now that's been updated. Now let's talk about our cabinets. I want to have the material of those cabinets come through, so I need to get into a different finish option. So I have a neutral white color, and now you can see our cursor is a paint roller. So that indicates that it's going to blend this material with the texture of my cabinets. You can also control that right down here in our editing toolbar. Just single click on that roller again to change it to the spray can. I'm going to activate that roller again. You'll also notice that we have some different spray cans down here. So C means component mode, so it's just going to do the certain component on the cabinets. We also have object mode, so with one click it will just change the entire object. Room mode, with one click it will be applied to the entire room. We have floor mode and plan mode, so with one click you can change all of the different cabinets that have that maple on them with one click. So very efficient if you wanted to change your colors throughout your entire plan. And I'm going to change our countertop. So we're still in room mode. One click will apply that. And let's change our wall color here. And let's match some materials. So for our sink, it looks like it's white. I want to make sure all of our stainless steel matches. So we have a material eyedropper that we can single click on the hood. I want to make sure that that paint roller is not active, so just single click on the paint roller. And I'm just going to apply our stainless steel. So there we go. Everything matches now. So now let's work with our backsplash. You can get into custom backsplash options with Chief Architect, or we do have a pretty easy option here. I'm just going to multi-select all of our cabinets, holding down Control on the keyboard, so we can make the same modification with one step. Under your General tab, you have control over your countertop options, backsplash, toe kick. I'm going to work with our backsplash. So let's bring that up to 18 inches. We can also get into our Material tab and work with materials on that. But I'll just select OK and show you a different way to do that. So with Chief Architect, it will automatically follow all of your window options, so it will automatically cut that for you. If you needed a certain spacing around your window, feel free to get into the custom backsplash options. Alright, so with our backsplash, let's apply this blue tile. So I'm just going to get into my component mode and single click on each backsplash. And then we'll apply that throughout. And there we are. Alright, so this side is looking pretty good. Let's rotate around and get onto the other side and work with our refrigerator and eat-at bar area. So different camera view, we'll just click and drag. And we'll see the other side of our room here. So I'm going to tile vertically again. I like working in both views so I can see what's happening, but also have some different controls in our floor plan view here. So let's get into our cabinet tools again. And I'm going to use our partition tool. Just going to drop in a partition here. And I'm going to open that up. You can change the different components, add molding, and so forth right in here. I'm going to just change that depth to 24 inches and bring that out a bit. Now let's drop in our refrigerator. Going to have a little built-in area here. Just bump that over. And now let's drop in our wall cabinet. With the wall cabinet, it's pretty nice. It just automatically will resize, noticing that there is a refrigerator there and it needs to change. And in our 3D view, let's work with our dimension here. We're just going to bump that up. So that's another reason to have your 3D view open as well. It's great to manipulate your dimensioning. So I'm just going to move that over here. I'm going to just zoom down here. We have a quick tool. It's called point to point. So I'm going to select my wall cabinet, click my point to point move tool from my editing toolbar at the bottom here, and then just click on each corner to get that moved. And let's see, I can also hold down my control key to free up any snapping that might happen there. Alright, so we have that side done. Let's just copy our partition. We'll copy that and we'll just paste one over here. And let's move that right underneath. Now let's work with some more cabinets here. Since we're working with those wall cabinets, I'll just continue dropping some in here. So for this guy, let's change that to 36. Pretty easy, just bump that over. You'll also see that label updating. So the label will update, the temporary dimensions will update, so you have all of that accuracy to work with. We can also open up our cabinet, and I'm just going to change that front to a left door. And now let's drop in some base cabinets. So we'll just bump up our base cabinet. And for this guy, I'm going to put in a little bar sink. So I'm going to change that to 18. And let's drop in another cabinet here. We'll just move that back over here. And rotate that around. Okay, I'm going to rotate it around again and just move it over a little bit here. There we go. It's snapped into place there. So it will automatically create that blind corner cabinet for you. And then we're just going to drop in, just going to copy our 27-inch over here and copy it. And then we'll have a cabinet on this side so we can match some different materials. All right, well, let's just move that up a little bit. And drop in one more cabinet here. I'm going to resize that out to 27. And let's open that up. I want to place a wine refrigerator in there. So I'm just going to delete our components here so we have a nice open area. So I'll just delete that, delete our toe kick here. So we're going to make an opening and get rid of all of the shelving. So just get in there, hit 0, and now we have a nice open area. So let's just drop in our wine cooler here. So this is just from our generic library. So I'm going to bring that down and move it on in. And now let's match our materials a little bit. So with our material eyedropper, I'm just going to work with our cabinets here. Let's be in room mode. With a single click, apply those. Now let's work with our custom countertop tool. So with our custom countertop, I'm just going to bring my cursor over, click and drag this out. So we have this nice big slab down. I'm going to select our edge, and that is actually exactly where I want it. So now let's select the other edge, and this needs to be 84. So we'll single click on our temporary dimension to 84, hit enter. And now we need to use our break line tool, and that's in the bottom editing toolbar. So with that break line tool, we can just put a break in there, drag that down, and then from here, let's just use our dimensioning. So we want an inch overhang, so we'll do 25 inches. And on this guy, we'll do 43. So now that we have that positioned correctly, I'm going to drop down our countertop on this edge. So we can get right into our partition tool, and we can work with that, or I've already created a custom library item that I can use. So you can create your own items and add them to the library. So that's pretty efficient for just getting all of the custom items that you use frequently controlled there. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, hold down my control key to move that in. And now let's match materials. So we'll match our countertop color here. And there we are. And let's just find a bar sink here really quickly. Just going to get into my architectural and my fixtures and my sinks again, so you can find all of your bar sinks right in here. So I'll just drop that in to our cabinet. And once I place a sink, I'm just going to open this up so you can see. It will automatically create that false drawer. As you can see, it changed that to the false drawer. So another kind of quick area that Chief Architect already does that for you. So I'll just switch that hinge side and we're good to go there. Let's put in a few pendant lighting options here. So we do have many different light controls within the program. I'm just going to select this guy. We'll just drop in a couple here. And I'm going to get into a different view, and we're going to work with some different lighting options. So I'll just close our 3D view here and get right into a long angle. Just click and drag. And with our recessed lighting, every light that you put in will kind of affect the different design that you have going. Under our electrical tool, the little outlet here, we have the outlet options, 110, 220, your light, your switch, connect electrical, and auto place outlets. So in our view here, I'm just going to use our standard recess light and drop in a few. So you'll see as I place those in there how it will update as we go. And then let's just drop in a switch. We'll put a switch here, and we can do our connect electrical. So very easy to create your electrical plan. And I can select each connection and modify that as you need to. So very easy to get your complete electrical finalized there. Let's get into our library and just add some stools here. So we have all of the different accessory options. So you can just type that into our search bar right here. Or of course you can find the different items. If you single click on that item and then right click on that, you can show it in your browser. And that will just bring it up wherever it is in our browser here, and then of course you can work from there and find more. We'll drop in a few there. I'm going to maximize our 3D view, and I wanted to show you about our backdrop option. So you can make this a bit more personable with our backdrops, or you can also import your own image. So let's do a farm overlook. I'm just going to click right into our window and drop that into place. So it makes it a bit more realistic for your clients to visualize. And once we're in our 3D view here, right now we're in our standard view. You can also get into your kind of final view options, and that will just clean up any jagged lines that you have. We also have additional rendering techniques across the top. So we can do our vector view, we can do a glass house option, the duotone, technical illustration, we have painting, and we have our watercolor. So in each different technique you do have controls, so you can change that. You can draw lines over the top of your watercolor, change the color of those lines, so you can really get into customizing all of these as you need to. We also have something else called ray trace rendering. So with ray trace rendering, once you're in your standard view, under 3D you can ray trace your current view. So it's very easy to kind of get them polished, and I'm going to open up some different examples here. You'll notice that the reflection on the countertop is really enhanced, as well as all of the surfaces on your cabinet. So you can change your materials, and you can change the reflection, transparency, and so forth of your glass. And here's your reflection off of the water, your mirrors. So again, here's a bathroom. You can do all of your custom bathroom designs with the tools that we use, and you have glass wall tools and so forth. With that invisible wall tool I showed you, you can also specify different areas of a room, change the flooring, change the floor height, ceiling heights, and so forth. And here's another one with a custom countertop and the custom counter hole, so your custom sinks. Here's another bathroom, multiple surfaces on your walls. And of course, you're not restricted to just those areas. You can do all other interior spaces that you need to. So here's a wine cellar. And the ray trace also enhances all of the different lighting from the windows, so natural light will be enhanced as well. And here's a basic plan set, so you can create any plan sets that you need to with Chief Architect. With this one, we have our render, we have our cabinet schedules, floor plan, different materials, elevation views. You have all of your custom ceiling tools. So let's get out of our views here and talk about our plan set a little bit. So within Chief Architect, under our tools, we do have the schedule options. So I'll show you schedules here in just a second. I'm going to go into our materials list first. So once you have your design completed, it will just calculate everything that you've placed in there. So we have all of our heating calculations from the walls. It might not apply to our single room here, but as we go down, we'll have our trim, our flooring, our windows, our cabinets, and you can specify what you show. So if you don't need that general information, you can change that. You can only show what you'd like to here. So with our cabinets, it will break it down. It'll show us our countertop options, the size of our cabinets, the material, finish, and components that make up that cabinet. It'll give us a count. You can add any extras that you want to, add your own pricing. So once you put your pricing in here, just save that and it will remember it for the next time. We can also export this to Excel, CSV, text file. So you do have other options besides just keeping it in the program. And under your display options, this is where you can find what you want to display. You can add suppliers, you can add markup, labor, so it's a bit flexible for you as well. I'm going to just go on down to the bottom here where you can see the interior trim, fixtures, appliances, and so forth. Alright, so I'm going to get out of here, and no, we don't need to save that. So let's get into our plan set. Underneath File, we have a new document that's called New Layout. So with our new layout, it will bring up our template layout page. Of course, you can change your borders. Right now, we're on page 1. If you go down to page 0, you'll have control over your borders. You'll have control over all of the different components that make up your title block there. So you'll use the CAD lines, boxes, and so forth to create your borders and boxes there. There's the dimensioning tool, so you can be accurate there, and we also have the text tools, so you can do any text that you need to. You can also get into the library. You can browse through the library to add any images that you've imported or any notes and legends that you've blocked together. We also have an array of those that you can use, and you'll find those right in our library. So I'm going to go back to our floor plan, and we have a nice tool, just Control-Tab to toggle between all of the windows that you have open. You'll also find all of those windows shown right in here. So let's get into a new view, our wall elevation. So this is our orthographic view. This is where all of the pattern options come into play. So I will select my wall elevation and just click and drag towards my window. So that will bring up our elevation view. And you'll notice everything still has color on here. We can toggle that color on or off. And you'll also see these opening indicators. So with Chief Architect, we have different layers. I'm going to go up to my display options, and that will bring up all of my layer display options. So you'll notice that in our list, everything's kind of on a different layer that you can turn on and off. You'll notice we have a used column here, so we can see what's being shown in this current view. We also can see what's being displayed, so we have control over what's being displayed. If I go down to O, just by hitting O on my keyboard, my opening indicators are being displayed. I'm going to single click on that so we don't display those in this view. You can also change your line styles, colors. You can also add additional layers. So if you're doing a remodel, you can add that as well to enhance your accuracy and what you would like to show. So in our elevation view, right now everything has a label. I'm going to get back into our floor plan view and create a schedule so we have our callouts. So under Tools, Schedules, and Cabinets, I'll just drop in our schedule, and I'll zoom in here so we can see what's going on. We have all of our numbers, our labels, and it will do all of our callouts for us. If we open that up for specification, we can change the callouts, we can change all of the different line styles, and so forth. So now I'm going to get back into my elevation view so you can see what's happened. So now instead of just the labels, we have all of our callouts. In our dimensioning tool, we have a auto elevation dimension. So with one click, it will just dimension everything for us. So we can get in here, we can single click on specific items and delete those if you want to. You can also get into your own manual dimension and manually dimension that out. So we can just click and drag a line right through to pick up our elevation and drag it over. So you will see these diamonds. Those are the little indicators here. We can just click that diamond and drag it right off. So it's locating to the cross section of my cabinet and all of the shelving. So just click and drag those off if you don't want to see those. Alright, so I'm just going to send this to my layout. And that will just bring it right onto my page where I can change the location. You can use your text to add any notes on there. I'm going to close this and it'll ask me if I want to save it. I want to say yes. If you save it, if you make any changes to your design, it will automatically update in your layout and so forth. So all of those different pages will communicate back and forth to each other. And we'll just send that right over to our layout. So this is very easy. You can bring over your plans, your 3D views, and then create any additional notes in here that you need to. So I wanted to show you a few different things on our website. So on chiefarchitect.com, under products, you'll notice we have some different product options. I've been working with the Chief Architect Premier, but all of the tools I've used are also available in the Interiors program. You can get into our product comparison right in here, and you can also download a free trial version. So if you're interested in working with those tools, there's a trial version of the Premier or the Interiors. Keep in mind everything from the Interiors is completely integrated into Premier. Premier will just have your framing tools, your deck design tools, all of your landscaping exterior design tools. So it's the complete package. There's no time limit on our trial version. You won't be able to save or print, but you can use that as long as you need to, and there's some more videos on this page as well to help you out. Underneath the User Center, you can get into our catalog download area. So in this option, we have our bonus and manufacturer catalogs. So you'll be able to preview all of the additional bonus and manufacturer items that we have. Under cabinets, you can go through all of the different cabinet manufacturers and view what we have for you. Also under User Center, you can find sample plans. So under that sample gallery, you can view different renderings, or we have different plan sets. So I went over a pretty basic concept of the plan set. Get in here to view the complete plan sets that have been created within the program. And some also offer a plan that you can open and work with in the trial version, and how-to videos on how that design was created. You'll also find our users forum, Chief Talk. So that's a great way to talk with other users, get additional information about the software. Alright, so with the two products, the Premier or the Interiors, that have that full interior capability control, the Premier is $2,195, and it's that full residential. We also have the Interiors at $1,495. Besides just the program, we have something called Support and Software Assurance. This is $395 each year. and that will include your priority technical support, access to all of the training videos. So there's over 50 hours worth of training through those videos. You'll be able to download the bonus and manufacturer catalogs. If we come out with a new version, you'll get that for no additional charge. You'll get discounts on training seminars or personal training, and then discounts on additional licenses. So with Chief Architect, it's a one-user license, so you can install this on as many computers as you need to. Just use it on one computer at a time. So if you need, multiple people using it at the same time, feel free to discuss that with us. We have those discounts on additional licenses. We also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. So with that trial version, it gives you a great idea of how the program operates on your system and everything, but we still offer 30 days after you purchase a new license or an upgrade to make sure that's the right fit for you. So feel free to contact additional users through Chief Talk and get into that trial version. Give us a call if you have any specific questions. We're here to help you out Monday through Friday, so give us a call or email us and we can go over the different program features with you as well. We're going to be on for another couple minutes here, so if you have any questions, again, select this arrow button to restore your control panel. So you can type in any questions to Kayla, and she'll be replying to you in the next couple minutes here, so chat those in. Thank you so much for attending today. If you have any questions, let us know, and have a wonderful day.